There is a flat wooden board leaning against the south wall of my woodshed. Screwed to that board is 100 feet of black plastic pipe wound in a spiral like a clock spring, and over the top of it lies an old storm window I pulled out of a neighbor's trash pile. The whole thing cost me about $40. Right now, this afternoon, the water inside that coil is hotter than 130 degrees, hot enough that you cannot hold your hand under it, hot enough to wash every dish from supper, scrub a week of work clothes, and give every person in my family a warm shower tonight. And it got that way with no flame, no wire, no tank in the basement, and not one moving part. The sun did all of it. And the sun has never once sent me a bill. I was raised in a community that has never depended on the power company, and on our farm, from May to September, we do not burn a single thing to make hot water. I am going to show you exactly how to build this, every part, every price, every step, slow enough that you can build it this Saturday and wash with sun-heated water by Sunday evening. But stay with me, because near the end, I am going to tell you the part of this story that ought to make you angry. This device is not new. It is not clever. It was being sold in American cities in 1891, and there was a time when half the rooftops of a major American city had one. Then it disappeared. Not because it stopped working, because certain people needed it to stop being sold. I will show you who and how they did it. First, let me clear up what most folks get wrong about hot water, because if you do not understand this, the rest will not make sense. Most people believe heat has to be made. You burn gas or you run electricity through a metal element, and that costs money every single time. But heat does not have to be made. It is already falling on your property all day long. At midday in summer, the sunshine landing on a patch of ground no bigger than a card table carries about 1,000 watts of power. That is real heat, delivered to your yard every hour, free of charge. The whole game is catching it before it bounces away. And government energy researchers will tell you that heating water eats close to 1/5 of everything the average home spends on energy. $1 out of every 5 every month for your whole life, for something the sky is already doing 4 months of the year. So how do you catch it? 2 old tricks, and you have seen both of them your whole life without thinking about it. The first is the color black. A white shirt in July keeps you cool because it throws the sunlight back. A black buggy seat will burn the back of your legs because it swallows the light and turns it into heat. Black is not a color so much as it is a trap. The second trick is glass. You have felt this one too. A closed car in a parking lot on a June day. The light comes in through the windows easy as anything, but the heat it turns into cannot get back out, and inside it becomes an oven. Folks call it the greenhouse effect. I call it a one-way door for heat. Now put the two together. A black pipe full of water lying under a pane of glass facing the sun. The light walks in, turns to heat inside that black pipe, and the glass shuts the door behind it. The water has no choice but to get hot. My grandfather understood this without ever reading a word about it. In winter, the women heated wash water on the cook stove. But in July, nobody wants a fire in the kitchen. So he kept a black painted milk can full of water on the south side of the wash house, and by late afternoon, that water came out steaming. What I am going to show you is the same idea his generation used, just shaped so it works harder and faster. Here is your shopping list: 100 feet of half-inch black polyethylene pipe. The rolls sit in the irrigation aisle of any farm store or hardware store, and they cost somewhere between $25 and $30. One flat board, 4 feet square or so. A piece of plywood works, An old door works better, and if you have flat black paint left in the shed, paint it. One old window, storm window, or glass door panel, ask around before you buy one, because half the garages in this country have one leaning in a corner waiting to be thrown out. A bag of zip ties or pipe straps, and 2 simple hose fittings for the ends of the pipe, maybe $5 for the pair. All told, about $40, and most of that is the pipe. Now the build, and there is only one part that takes patience. Lay your board flat, find the center, start your coil there, and wind the pipe outward in a flat spiral, like a braided rug, strapping it down every foot or so as you go. Black pipe comes off the roll wanting to stay curled, so this is easier than it sounds, but take your time and keep the rows tight against each other. The more pipe facing the sun, the more water getting hot. Thread your 2 fittings onto the ends, one at the center, one at the outside edge. Lay your glass over the top, lean the whole board against a south-facing wall, and tip it back at about the same slant as your roof so the sun hits it square. That is the entire machine. No motor, no switch, nothing to break, nothing to feed. Now there are 2 ways to run it, and I will give you the simple one first. Hook a garden hose to the bottom fitting, fill the coil, and shut the water off. Inside that 100 feet of pipe sits about 1 gallon of water. Leave it under full sun for 1 hour. Then open the far end. What comes out first will shock you. On a clear July afternoon, it can come out hotter than the water heater in most basements is even set to deliver. Draw your hot gallon. Let the coil refill, and an hour later, there is another one waiting. A gallon an hour, every sunny hour, forever, for $40. That is wash water, dishwater, shave water, all summer long. And right here, I have to slow down and tell you 3 things plainly, because this works well enough to be taken seriously. First, water hotter than 140 degrees can scald skin in just a few seconds, and a child even faster. Treat the first draw of the day the way you would treat a kettle. Always temper it with cold before any hand or any dish goes under it. Second, that irrigation pipe is made for watering fields, not for filling drinking glasses. This is washing water. If you ever want to drink from a system like this, the farm store sells pipe rated for drinking water, and it costs only a little more. And third, never cap a full coil shut at both ends and walk away in full sun. Heated water pushes, and it needs somewhere to go. One end stays open to a tank or a spigot always. Now the second way to run it, and this is where the old-timers were smarter than people remember. Set a barrel above the coil, a 55-gallon drum on a sturdy stand painted black, lid on with the bottom of the barrel sitting higher than the top of the coil. Run 1 line from the bottom of the barrel down to the bottom fitting of the coil. Run another line from the top fitting of the coil up into the top of the barrel. Fill the barrel about halfway the first time, and then do nothing. Here is what happens, and it is the prettiest piece of physics on my whole farm. The sun heats the water in the coil. Hot water is lighter than cold water, so it rises, climbs that upper line all on its own, and slides into the top of the barrel. Cooler water from the bottom of the barrel sinks down to take its place in the coil, gets heated, and rises in its turn. Around and around all day long, with no pump and no power. The sun is the pump. By supper time on a hot, clear day, that half barrel is true bath temperature, 25 gallons of it, and a barrel that size holds its warmth well into the evening. So now you know the machine. Here is the part I promised you, the part that should make you angry. In 1891, a businessman in Baltimore named Clarence Kemp patented a device he called the Climax. black metal tanks of water inside a glass-covered box set on the roof. The first commercial solar water heater in America, sold with the promise of ending the misery of stoking a stove in summer. It sold and it spread. Out in California, a man named William Bailey improved it around 1909, and his improvement was exactly what I just showed you. The tank separated from the collector so the hot water rises and stores itself. His company was called Day and Night because that was the promise. Hot water at night from the day's sun. By the 1920s, these things were on rooftops all over Southern California. Then the gas companies struck cheap natural gas, ran their lines down every street, and offered gas burners at prices a solar builder could not touch. California solar died. The industry moved to Florida and boomed all over again. Historians who went back through the building records found that by the early 1940s, roughly half the homes in Miami were heating their water with the sun, half a city. Then the war ended. The electric companies needed customers for all their new power plants, and they began offering electric water heaters for next to nothing with rates to match. One by one, the solar shops closed. By the 1950s, it was over. Understand what actually happened there. The sun did not stop shining on Miami. The machines did not stop working. The machine had one fatal flaw, and it is the same flaw as the coil behind my woodshed. You pay for it once. Nobody collects a check from you every month for the rest of your life. There is no business in it for the people who sell heat by the month, so the knowledge was not passed down. It was buried under a sales pitch, 2 generations deep, until most folks today have never heard that any of this existed. Now, I will be straight with you about the limits because the folks selling $1,000 solar kits will not be. This is a summer system. A string of cloudy days gives you lukewarm water, not hot. And if you live where it freezes, you must drain the coil and the lines before the first hard frost, or the ice will split that pipe open like a pea pod. Come October, I drain mine, roll my eyes at the propane heater, and make my peace with it until May. This will not erase your water heating bill in January. What it does is take the whole summer season of it, June through September, off your back. $40 once, against a bill that otherwise arrives every month until they bury you. So here is your weekend. Saturday morning, buy the roll of pipe and the fittings, hunt up a board and an old window. Saturday afternoon, wind the spiral, strap it down, set the glass, lean it south. Sunday, fill it, wait 1 hour, and put your hand near, not under, what comes out. Then decide for yourself whether your grandparents knew something or whether the meter on the side of your house knows better. Tell me in the comments what state you live in and what you pay each month to heat water because I read every one of them. And if you build the coil, come back and tell me how hot that first gallon ran. Folks in my community already know this works. I am making this for the folks who were never told. Next time, I am going to show you what my grandmother kept in the cellar that held milk cold for 3 days in August heat, without ice, without electricity, using nothing but 2 clay crocks, a bucket of water, and a towel. It cooled food for thousands of years before the icebox was ever invented, and it still works today. Until then, keep your tools sharp and your eyes open. If this was worth your time, hit subscribe because the old ways are only lost if nobody passes them on.